Hey Finn, you are a Christian, right?
Why, yes, Agnes. Why do you ask?
Well, I was wondering how you could believe in a fairy tale without any evidence.
Well, there is plenty of evidence for what I believe in.
Like what? And you cannot use the Bible?
Well, for starters, nothing cannot create everything, right?
If that is your argument, that is completely useless.
Well, I can tell you are not persuaded, so do you want historic evidence?
Sure, if you can give any.
Well, for starters, here is what the trustworthy first-century historian known as Tacitus has to say.
Consequently, to get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations. Called Christians by the populace, Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate, and a most mischievous superstition, thus checked for the moment, again broke out not only in Judea, the first source of the evil, but even in Rome, where all things hideous and shameful from every part of the world find their center and become popular. Accordingly, an arrest was first made of all who pleaded guilty. Then, upon their information, an immense multitude was convicted, not so much of the crime of firing the city, as of hatred against mankind. Mockery of every sort was added to their deaths. Covered with the skins of beasts, they were torn by dogs and perished, or were nailed to crosses, or were doomed to the flames and burnt, to serve as a nightly illumination, when daylight had expired. Nero offered his gardens for the spectacle, and was exhibiting a show in the circus, while he mingled with the people in the dress of a charioteer, or stood aloft on a car. Hence, even for criminals who deserved extreme and exemplary punishment, there arose a feeling of compassion, for it was not, as it seemed, for the public good, but to glut one man's cruelty, that they were being destroyed.
So what do you think?
But how do we know if Jesus even performed miracles?
Well, here is what the second-century philosopher and enemy of the Christians, known as Celsus, has to say.
Jesus hired himself out as a servant in Egypt on account of his poverty, and having there acquired some miraculous powers, on which the Egyptians greatly pride themselves, returned to his own country, highly elated on account of them, and by means of these proclaimed himself a god.
It is worth noting that Celsus put his own bias when writing about Jesus. But without a doubt, even according to Celsus, who actively headed Christianity, even he cannot deny that Jesus did perform some miracles.
Well, do you have any evidence of the resurrection?
Well, during the first century, we know that the disciples of Jesus were the main founders of Christianity, and according to their accounts, Jesus was resurrected. Now, maybe if one of them saw him, we would assume it was a hallucination, but it was multiple, who would go on to gain persecution, poverty, torture, and even death. As we read earlier by Celsus, they were tortured in the most brutal ways. Why would hundreds of thousands of early Christians do that? And keep in mind, this all happened within a span of 70 years or so.
I never thought about it like that.
Will you consider everything I said?
I will.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. I noticed that most Christians don't know how to defend their faith to non-believers, so I hope this video will help you witness to more people effectively, or even if you are a non-believer here, I hope you will actually consider the things in this video. Stay strong, stay safe, and have faith in Jesus Christ. Amen.